I'm reminded of the show Hee Haw. Do you guys know of this show called Hee Haw? You might be able to find it on YouTube. It was a country music show out of the US. And they had this one bit where they made fun of the sadness in country music. And they had this chorus, and it ended up, if it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. I feel like the world is that right now. All right, today, I'm sorry to have to do this, but some bad news from the world of construction. More bad news from Volkswagen. Some good news in that the government is doing something right. And a little bit more on this, just so we're all clear where I'm coming from when it comes to this. If you missed yesterday, 1.75% is our neutral rate, our neutral real rate. A real rate is the Bank of Canada rate minus the inflation. You following so far? Okay, so this would be additional on top of our inflation rate. So our inflation right now, yours makes no difference, is 2%. Our Bank of Canada rate should be 2% plus 1.75, which is 3.75%. If, and this is the part where people get confused, if we had full employment, if our economy was tickety-boo, which it is not. Does that make this number irrelevant? No, not at all. We have to get down to full employment first, which means our real rate needs to be 0 or slightly negative, which means our Bank of Canada rate has to get down to around 1.75%. Right? Because if our inflation rate is 2% and our Bank of Canada rate is 1.75%, that becomes negative 0.25%. We're slightly below 0. We're stimulating the economy. People can go back to work, etc., etc., etc. And don't forget, we got a lot of fixing up to do. Residential real estate developers cut jobs as downturn deepens. Why is this happening? It's happening for two reasons. One, obviously the rates. But two, because we overdid it with population growth a couple years ago. Yeah, a couple years ago. Get with the times, folks. You know my feelings on the population growth. I thought it was excessive. So much so that people thought I was right-wing. I'm only right-wing when I play soccer. And I can't play soccer anymore. Anyway, that excess of population caused overbuilding, especially for right now where we've cut the population off. Yeah, we're compounding the problem. How so? Well, again, developers built with this idea that immigration would be booming for years, and now we've cut the immigration down to 0. So we've overbuilt, and now we're getting rid of workers. But it's not all bad news. CMHC is quietly becoming a rental housing powerhouse from our friend Daniel Foch. You can read the article. It's on Stories. Basically, CMHC is getting involved. They're building rental housing, dedicated rental housing, which is what's been missing in Canada for a long time. I've been saying this over and over again. Dedicated rentals control the rental prices. That control of rental prices puts a price cap on residential real estate. First with condos, and that has a knock-on effect on semis and townhomes and detached. Not to mention, like handing over residential to private investors, it's just, who thought that was a good idea? Of course it's going to lead to speculation. Of course it's going to lead to a whole bunch of wild behavior. Yeah, so hopefully this continues because this will ease the burden in the future when the side effects from this rears its ugly head. And lastly, more bad news from Volkswagen. Yesterday I was talking about the problems with the ID Buzz, how that could have a knock-on effect for the Volkswagen battery factory in St. Thomas. And now there's this. Volkswagen halts ID Buzz exports to the US amid increased tariffs. Yeah, Volkswagen decided to make the ID Buzz its flagship vehicle, but it also put it at the top of the price range, making it horribly unaffordable. And now with tariffs, it's even more unaffordable. Will this cause problems for the battery factory? I don't know, maybe. My 2 cents. I think Volkswagen leveraged a little bit too much on Chinese EV tariffs. Karma's a bitch. Like, Europe has problems. They can't support an expensive EV. But even if this thing finds a home in Europe, the idea of building the battery factory in St. Thomas was so it could serve the North American market, which seems to have problems at the moment.